For more on the upcoming impeachment hearings, where the road leads from here, and a look at the 2020 Democratic race, special correspondent Jeff Greenfield joins us now from Santa Barbara. Tomorrow is, well, I guess another big-ish day. I mean, we've had a lot of big days in the past couple of weeks. What happens?
Well, unlike last week when constitutional scholars were debating the law, we're going to hear from lawyers from the Intelligence Committee and from the Judiciary Committee. The Democratic lawyers will present the case, the factual case that they assert for impeachment, abuse of power, possibly bribery, and the Republican lawyers will present the counterargument that the president did nothing untoward. He was simply exercising his legitimate authority to look at corruption.
So let's talk about the impeachment hearings coming up. It's really shaping up to be quite the event. Tomorrow will be another significant day following a string of big moments we've seen recently. This time, instead of constitutional scholars hashing out legal details, we'll have lawyers from the Intelligence Committee alongside those from the Judiciary Committee. The Democratic lawyers are set to lay out their case for impeachment, citing abuse of power and even potential bribery. Meanwhile, the Republican lawyers will argue that the president was merely exercising his rightful authority to investigate corruption. Now, this is where things get really intense. We're at a point where Trump's worst fears are materializing. Congress is actually on the brink of voting him out. Impeachment isn't just a looming threat anymore, it's becoming a real possibility, with Democrats actively filing articles of impeachment. You can almost feel Trump losing his grip. He's beginning to panic, and in his typical style, he's losing it. It's as if he's on the verge of erupting, attacking Congress in a fit of desperation, which really highlights the gravity of the situation we're witnessing. But hold on a second, let's be real here. You know you can't fully trust mainstream media these days. That's why I'm really glad we have Pump Politics, where they focus on delivering genuine stories with real context, free from corporate influence. If you want to keep up with the latest news without the fluff, signing up for their free newsletter is a great idea. They'll send the headlines straight to your inbox every day. Just click on the link in the description to join. And if you want to support their efforts for truth-telling, being part of their community is a solid move. Now, back to the heart of the matter, Democrats have officially filed impeachment resolutions against Trump. Just the other day, House Democrats shot down a fellow party member's attempt to push for impeachment. In fact, 23 Democrats teamed up with Republicans to reject Congressman Al Green's articles that accuse Trump of abuse of power. Al Green shared his thoughts on it yesterday, truly revealing the divided sentiments within the party. So here's the scoop. The Democrats are really serious about going after Trump again with impeachment. They feel that his behavior during his second term is enough reason to justify this kind of action. They're shouting from the rooftops about how he's been attacking the Constitution, making threats against lawmakers, and misusing military power in ways that could break both international and constitutional laws. And let me tell you, they're not just talking, they're moving forward with these articles of impeachment. What's at stake here is huge. If the House actually votes to impeach Trump for a third time, it could completely change his political landscape. Picture this. If the Democrats manage to grab control of the Senate and get a two-thirds majority, they could not only convict him, but actually boot him from office. Can you imagine that? Trump could lose the presidency through these constitutional processes. And it's no wonder that the thought sends him into a frenzy. It's honestly hard to believe he said that out loud. This really is a pivotal moment for Trump's political future. Congress is out there, making it clear that they're willing to take action to remove him, and he's showing every sign of fear and desperation. This situation is defining what the year 2026 could look like, and it's crucial for voters to grasp just how serious this is. They need to know that Trump could really be facing removal from office. Now let's dive into what exactly the Democrats are doing. They've come up with articles of impeachment that cite Trump's abuse of power, his threats to lawmakers and judges, and his attacks on the Constitution. They're laying out a pretty strong constitutional argument against him. It's clear they believe his actions warrant removal from office. Trump is really feeling the heat right now. He's been warning House Republicans for months about the risks he's facing. He straight up told them, if we lose the midterms, they'll go after me. He knows impeachment is a real possibility if the Democrats take control of the House, and he understands just how serious this could be for his presidency. Now, it's important to realize that impeachment doesn't mean he's removed from office. It's more like a formal accusation. It's the House voting to charge him. To actually remove him, the Senate has to get involved, and that requires a two-thirds majority. Specifically, 67 senators have to vote to convict. That's a tough hurdle to clear, which is why he was able to dodge the bullet during his first two impeachments. The Senate simply didn't have the votes to convict him then. But things have changed. Trump has lost a lot of support. His credibility has taken a serious hit, and he's dealing with investigations and criminal charges. His political stance is shakier than it's ever been, and if the Democrats gain a stronghold in the Senate, the chances of his conviction and removal become very real, even likely. Trump knows this, and it's making him uneasy. The thought of losing the midterms, and with it Congress, means he could actually find himself out of office, which is why he's been so frantic lately. His recent outbursts and attacks on Congress and Democrats are born out of desperation. There's a sense of panic in his actions because if he's removed, he loses everything: the presidency, power, immunity. It's like he's fighting against an impending storm, and that desperation is palpable. What's interesting about how Trump is responding is that he's not trying to convince Congress of his innocence or build a constitutional defense. Instead, he's just lashing out, revealing a lot of fear. This kind of reaction is doing him no favors. It's making him look guilty and unfit for office, leading voters to question whether he should remain in power. So let's really dig into what impeachment and the potential for removal could mean for him as we look toward 2026. Impeachment has officially crossed from being just a thought into a real process. Democrats have taken action by filing articles and are moving forward with it, which really shifts the entire game for Trump. He's no longer just dealing with pressure from elections. Now he's facing the serious constitutional risk of being removed from office. If he actually gets impeached and the Senate convicts him, it changes everything. He wouldn't be president anymore, and that means he loses all that power, immunity, and protection he's enjoyed. But it gets even serious because then he would have to deal with the real possibility of arrest, prosecution, and potentially prison. This removal isn't just a bump in the road, it's a huge threat to his entire world. Looking ahead to the midterms in 2026, they aren't just a regular race for party control in Congress. These elections will determine whether Trump manages to stick around in office or faces removal. It's all about his political survival, and he knows it. You can see that he's really fighting hard to stay in power, desperate to avoid that outcome. Speaking of desperation, his reaction to impeachment isn't doing him any favors. He's losing it, having fits, and showing signs of fear, which is not a good look. Voters are picking up on this. They can see he's scared and thinks he might actually lose. And let's be honest, no one wants to vote for someone who's panicking and seems to be losing control. What's really striking is Trump's own acknowledgement that impeachment could happen to him. That's one of the strongest things he could say because it shows he recognizes the serious danger he's in. He's admitting that removal is a real possibility, and that sort of honesty from him carries a lot of weight. It makes voters stop and think seriously about his situation. As we approach the year 2026, it's really coming down to one main issue: impeachment. This is what the Democrats are pushing for, and it's got Trump genuinely worried. If they gain control of Congress, impeachment becomes very likely. Voters need to head into the midterms with this in mind because the outcome will essentially be a referendum on whether Trump should remain in office or be shown the door. Each ballot will play a part in determining if impeachment leads to his removal. Now, the situation is pretty serious. Impeachment is on the table. It's not just talk. Democrats have already filed their articles, and Congress is taking steps forward. If they succeed in winning the House and potentially the Senate, it's game on for impeachment and removal. Trump is well aware of all this, which is why he's acting so frantic and desperate. The 2026 election is really about his political survival. It's a direct line to whether he stays president or if he gets voted out. But here's a key point. Trump has already been impeached twice, making him the only president to ever face impeachment that many times. If it happens again, he'll be the first to be impeached 3 times, which is not the kind of historical legacy he wants. It would be a permanent mark on his presidency, a constant reminder that Congress formally charged him with wrongdoing. So voters really need to grasp the gravity of this situation. The election is about determining Trump's fate and carving out the future for America as well. This is what's at stake, and Congress is actively moving toward potentially removing Trump from office. He knows it too, and that's what has him on edge, as his political fate lies heavily on Republicans doing well in the upcoming elections. In 2026, voters have a crucial job to do. Holding Trump accountable is key. If he commits crimes that are severe enough, then supporting his impeachment becomes necessary. It's all about making sure Congress has the authority to remove him if his actions warrant it. This isn't just about policy, it's about protecting the Constitution and upholding the rule of law. This important vote will shape whether Trump remains in office or whether Congress pushes him out, and his recent reactions reveal just how serious the situation is. Trump is showing his real emotions, and it's clear he understands what's at stake. He knows the possibility of removal is on the table, and his fear is quite justified. Congress is taking steps toward impeachment, filing articles, and gearing up to act. If voters choose to elect a Democratic Congress and support impeachment and removal, it could very well mean the end of Trump's presidency. That's the essence of what the upcoming election is really about. It's why Trump is in such a frenzy. He realizes the possibility of being voted out is very real. But here's where it gets serious for Trump. He's not just anxious about impeachment in a vague, abstract way. He knows that if he gets removed, he loses his protection, no more immunity, and without that shield, arrest is on the horizon. If he gets arrested, then prosecution follows, and prosecution could lead to prison. For Trump, impeachment and removal don't just spell the end of his presidency. They signal the loss of everything he holds dear. That's what makes the stakes so high for him. Impeachment and removal mean potential arrest, and that's why he's scrambling. It's clear he understands that the moment Congress moves forward with this, it's the start of serious trouble for him. Trump would fight tooth and nail to keep his position and maintain his immunity. This is exactly what the election in 2026 is all about. The 2026 election really boils down to whether Trump retains his immunity or if he loses it. It's all about whether he keeps his grip on power or faces the prospect of prison. Trump knows how existential this situation is for him, which explains why he's acting so desperate and aggressive. His frantic behavior highlights just how scared he is. Voters need to grasp this essential point. Trump isn't merely battling to remain president, he's fighting to avoid incarceration. That immunity he's holding onto is what's keeping him from being arrested and prosecuted. Once people realize what this is really about, they can cast their votes accordingly. His evident desperation, loss of control, and explosive reactions all lay bare his fears. He understands the stakes involved. He's aware that if he's removed from power, it could lead straight to prison for him. This revelation carries significant political weight and can sway voters. Imagine if Democrats actually take control of Congress in 2026. Picture them holding both the House and the Senate, contemplating articles of impeachment against Trump. What if they manage to pass impeachment in the House? Then consider the Senate trial, where senators would vote on whether to convict Trump and remove him from office. There's a significant chance that enough senators could decide to convict him. It's not just a far-off hypothetical. It's a tangible outcome that could very well happen if voters act wisely. This is precisely what Trump is genuinely concerned about, and it's what he's been warning House Republicans about. His fear is justified because if Democrats gain control and choose to impeach him, they just might succeed. At the end of the day, Trump isn't just fighting to stay in power. He's fighting for his freedom and to avoid arrest. Losing his position means losing everything for him, and he fully understands that reality. Heading into the year 2026, it's becoming clearer just how much power voters actually have. They can decide if Trump stays in office or gets voted out. That's huge. Voters hold the key to electing a Congress that might impeach him, and that's an important constitutional process designed to keep presidents in check when they step out of line. If there's any indication that Trump has violated the Constitution or committed high crimes and misdemeanors, Congress has a responsibility to act. It's up to voters to ensure that there's a Congress ready to hold him accountable if the situation calls for it. Essentially, when voters participate, they're protecting the Constitution, and this crucial vote will take place soon. It's coming in 2026. Now, the possibility of Congress voting Trump out is not just speculation. It's something that could very well happen if voters make the right choices. Trump's definitely feeling the heat over this, and it's no secret that he's been panicking. His desperation truly reflects how serious this situation is, showing that he knows Congress might really take those steps to remove him through proper channels. What's extra telling is that Trump himself has already acknowledged the threat of impeachment. He's gone so far as to warn that it's on the table if Democrats gain the upper hand. It's honestly hard to believe he said that out loud, but it just goes to show how much he actually fears the possibility. Voters need to keep this all in mind as we get closer to that important vote in 2026. The upcoming election in 2026 is shaping up to be a game changer, and it's all tied to how people feel about Trump. His recent admissions and fears about impeachment are sticking in voters' minds. They'll remember he's anxious about being voted out, and that memory is going to influence how they ballot. People who want to see Trump held accountable will push for electing a Congress that's willing to impeach him. Those who care about protecting the Constitution will make sure Congress has the power to act if Trump steps out of line. There's a strong motivation among voters to make it possible for Congress to vote him out, and Trump is fully aware of this. He knows that his political future hinges on Republican control of Congress, and if he loses that, there's a real chance he could lose his presidency. Trump is fighting tooth and nail to keep Republicans in power, aiming to maintain his grip on the office and his freedom. This means that the 2026 election is one of the most crucial in American history. Its outcome will directly impact whether Trump remains in his position, whether he's held accountable under the law, and whether the Constitution still holds any weight. Voters have a responsibility to take this seriously because the idea of Congress voting Trump out isn't just fantasy. It's a very real possibility if the right representatives are chosen. Trump is genuinely frightened by this scenario, and he knows there are Democrats actively working towards it. His current state of desperation and loss of control reveals just how significant this all is. So, come 2026, it's essential for voters to keep all this in mind. They need to make their voices heard and hold Trump accountable. As we look ahead to 2026, it's clear that the power of voters will play a huge role in shaping the future. People will have the chance to elect a Congress that can hold Trump accountable, potentially impeaching and removing him from office if he's committed any crimes serious enough to warrant it. This isn't a matter of if, but rather when that moment will come. The upcoming election is really focused on whether Congress can vote Trump out, and it's the issue that seems to have him in such a frenzy. His desperation is palpable, reflecting how deeply he fears that congressional vote. In many ways, that vote is set to shift the entire political landscape, making it crucial for voters to approach 2026 with a clear understanding of the stakes involved. While it may be hard to fathom, when the day finally arrives and Congress votes to remove Trump, that will mark a significant moment of accountability. It means that he could lose his immunity, face arrest, and even prosecution, possibly heading towards prison. At long last, the rule of law would be applied to him, showing that the Constitution prevails while he takes a back seat. Voters truly hold the key here. They need to cast their ballots to elect individuals who will act to remove Trump, to defend the Constitution, and to ensure that he's made accountable for his actions. That's what's at stake when the voting takes place in 2026. The outcome will not only determine if Trump remains president, but also shape the path for America's future. That's really the heartbeat of the situation, and it's clear why Trump is so panicked. He knows everything hinges on whether he can maintain his power. The upcoming election in 2026 is going to be a big deal. It's about holding Trump accountable and making sure Congress has the power to vote him out if he really deserves it. Voters really need to keep that in mind when they head to the polls. This election is the final showdown, the moment where everything gets decided.